Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's video. We're going to have a look at weather for the next week, 10 days. For today's video, day 10 will take us to the 27th of January. And we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS ensembles. Maybe run to around a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at the CFS B2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks. Gets us into early February. And we're going to have plenty on the stratosphere to start off with. This will be an extended video. I'm going to do a little bit of an explainer about why we look at temperatures at 10 HPA in the stratosphere. Overall, I've been sharing some charts at the stratospheric level, you know, on the GavsWeatherVids social media pages, and people have been asking me why are we looking at this, and you know, what is the what's the possibilities. So I'm going to go through all of that in a second. Please like, share, subscribe on this. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. We need to put on around 35 subscribers now, that's all, to get ourselves to 15.4k. So we put on a lot of subs yesterday when we did our Snowwatch live. And fantastic live stream. Thank you so much everybody. I hope you all enjoyed that live stream. I thought it was a really good stream. So thank you so much, all of you, for making last night's live stream so special. And yeah, going to be extended one this. So please like, share, subscribe. And thank you so much everybody for doing that. Right, let's crack on. So we're going to begin with the stratosphere. So this is how temperatures currently are looking in terms of the stratosphere over the North Pole at 10 HPA versus average. This is from the JMA. So we're currently around minus 73, something like that. We should be, at this point of the year, around minus 60. So we're colder than average at 10 HPA in the stratosphere over North Pole. We go low down to 30 HPA. We are also colder than average there as well. We're at around minus 85. And we should be around minus 70 now. So colder than normal at 10 HPA, colder than normal at 30 HPA. This is helping to drive the polar vortex. These cold temperatures will help to drive the polar vortex. The polar vortex is rooted in the stratosphere, the stratospheric polar vortex. And the polar vortex is what drives the westerlies. The westerlies are what bring us, in northern Europe, the mild, wet, windy weather that we associate with a typical northern, northwestern European winter. We're looking to get cold weather. We're looking to disrupt the stratosphere, or the stratospheric polar vortex, if you like. And we do that via a warming of the stratosphere, what we call a sudden stratospheric warming. So this is a good visual representation of those temperatures at 10 HPA over North Pole. So again, blue purple curves telling us that temperature around minus 18, under minus 18 towards the Atlantic and Northern European side of the Arctic, and around minus 75, something like that, over North Pole itself. Let's see, excuse me, on the GFS midnight run, if we get any particularly notable warming of the stratosphere over the next couple of weeks. So we go to around a week out, and we find that we do get quite a significant warming taking place there. We have those red colours over Siberia, so a significant warming of the stratosphere taking place over Siberia there, not having much impact up to 25th of January on the North Pole. What happens in the extended range? Well, that warming starts to push into the pole, begins to displace the polar vortex at its roots out into the Atlantic and into northern parts of Europe, and then the warming really starts strengthening right at the end of January. Look at that, becomes a very intense warming of the stratosphere, again moving into the North Pole, displacement event taking place of the polar vortex. Not a split of the PV there, not a split of the PV, although we do have a minor split just here actually. See how the blue curves sort of pull apart just there, so a little bit of a minor split takes place there, but we're looking for something quite a bit more dramatic than that, to be honest. I'll explain that in a moment. Yeah, a significant warming of the stratosphere, probably getting towards sudden stratospheric warming type levels. It is penetrating into the North Pole as well. Whether that would be quite enough to send the wind into reverse, we'd have to wait and see closer to the time frame. That's the GFS midnight run. This is the GFS 6 run. Again, you see how this warming starts off over Siberia in around a week or so's time, and then into the extended range. That warming penetrates into the North Pole, begins to push the polar vortex out. And look how intense that warming becomes by the 30th of January. I would think that's got to be reaching near record-breaking levels over Siberia, centre of Siberia, but certainly penetrating into the North Pole here with that significant warming, and a displacement event again with the polar vortex being pushed out into the North Atlantic. Whether the polar vortex will split beyond that, it is under a lot of stress there. It's under a lot of pressure. So whether the PV would split properly after that, we'll have to wait and see. But certainly a very significant warming of the stratosphere. I would think that would have to get the solar wind 10 HPA into reverse there. It's such a dramatic warming. I would think that would have to sort of reverse the solar wind. But certainly the PV under a lot of stress and a lot of pressure there. So when we get these warming events taking place over the stratosphere, or in the stratosphere over the North Pole, they can send the solar wind into reverse. When the solar wind goes into reverse, typically the solar wind would be like going from a west to east direction fashion in the northern hemisphere. When we get these warming events, the solar wind will reverse and go east to west. And when that happens, you know, it can cause significant disruption again to the polar vortex, particularly if it propagates down from the stratosphere into the troposphere, which is the boundary level of the atmosphere where weather is actually taking place. Now, this is from weather is cool. So at the moment, we have a strong solar wind, but the green lines, the GFS ensembles, are indicating we are going to get a big deceleration in the solar winds in the final week of January. So actually, in the next couple of days, we will strengthen the solar wind, you know, really to quite a strong level. But through the final week of January, we can see that most of the ensemble members there are dropping out the solar wind, and some of them are sending the solar wind into reverse. This zero line just here, if any of the ensemble members are at that level or under it, oh, my line went a bit wonky, at that level or under it, then those are the ensemble members that are sending the solar winds into reverse. Excuse me. And as I say, if you send the solar wind into reverse and then propagate that reversal of solar winds into the troposphere, then you can sometimes start setting up northern blocking. The other thing we want to look for is a split of the polar vortex, and by that I mean a proper split. So I'm going to show you some reanalysis. This is from Christmas Day on Christmas Day 1984. Notice very nicely defined polar vortex there, stratospheric polar vortex with both blue colours over the North Pole. Now look what happens through the Christmas week of 1984. We start to get a significant warming developing over the North Atlantic. Interesting place for an SSW to start. Don't often start there, we normally start over Siberia, but this one starts over North Atlantic, and it starts pushing up in towards the North Pole. Notice how by the 30th of December, the polar vortex is splitting. It's gone into two lobes of blue. We've sent one lot over towards the Pacific side of Canada, North America. We've sent another lot, or another lobe, over towards the northern parts of Europe. In between, we've got these green, yellow, orange colours, you know, pushing through from the Atlantic over towards Siberia. That is a classic split of the polar vortex that we see there, and that's New Year's Eve 1984, a classic lovely split of the PV. That did same as solar wind into reverse, and it set up the very cold winter of 84-85, but it started to get really cold by that New Year's Eve, actually, of 1984, and the cold weather was then on and off through the rest of the January and February 1985. Another classic example is from 2013. This is one of the ultimate SSWs. So this is New Year's Day 2013. Again, you see the warming in a much more normal place, typical place over Siberia. This time, if we go through to around the 6th of January, this is when the solar wind went into reverse, so we see that those red colours are penetrating into the North Pole. Displacement event at that point, not a split of a PV, just a displacement of a PV at that point. But that day, 6th of January 2013, when the solar wind went into reverse. A few days after that, then the split begins to take place. So this is the 9th of January. We've got the warming over Poland back to Siberia, and another warming taking place over northern parts of America. That tends to be the key to getting a split of PV, and that's the one thing that's missing at the moment with the charts that we're seeing. We're not getting the second warming on the other side of the PV. That's when the split occurs. We get a split of polar vortex on the 10th of January 2013, and off and running we go into blocking through the remainder of the winter, and it culminates in an extremely cold March. Again, you notice the two lobes of blue, this time over towards the Pacific side of America and Canada again, and down into the North Atlantic with the warmth in between. And then the last example, of course, is just for the beach from the east. So this is on the 4th of February 2018. Again, see nicely defined polar vortex there with those blue colours. If we go on a few days to the 8th of January, a bit of a warming taking place, nothing overly dramatic. This was a little bit different in that it just gradually, the warming just gradually developed, really. So it doesn't have like a dramatic shoot up in the temperature. Things just gradually develop day by day. So that's the 10th of February. Notice the warming's not overly dramatic, but it's on either side of the PV, one from North America, one over to Siberia. It's putting the PV under stress there on the 10th of February. 11th of February looks like that. That's when the split takes place. We get split of the polar vortex. Again, not seeing the red colours there, you'll notice. So not really spiking up the temperature. But enough to break the PV apart and split it very, very nicely with, again, the two lobes of the PV, one lot going over towards Canada and North Pacific side of America, and another lot going down into Europe, and very classic split there by the 12th of February. And of course, this sets up the beach from the east a couple of weeks later, 13th of February, 14th of February. Looking like that. The warming actually intensified around Greenland and Canada by Valentine's of 2018. So we did get the red colours, we did get a spike in the temperature. Happened after the split, which is quite unusual. Now that's an unusual SSW that we have in 2018, but a good example of it. Now if we go back here, so we get the spike in the temperature, we displace the polar vortex. I will think that probably gets a reversal as though the wind's going. But one thing we are still missing there is a split of the PV. We do split it slightly there, but I mean we're looking at something more dramatic than that. We're looking to get the two lots of blue, split apart, one lot going one way, one lot going another way. We are missing that still. Whether that would happen following on, excuse me, from that, we only get to 2nd of February there, whether the PV would split at that point remains to be seen. So that's the one thing that we're still looking for there. And of course, you've gathered that this is important because, that was followed by a cold January and February in 1984. That was followed by an increasingly cold January, February and March in 2013. And this was followed by the beach to the east and quite a cold March in 2018 as well. So it's important this because it can set up blocking, but it's not a guarantee. Sometimes you do get SSW and it doesn't set up a northern blocking response. I hope that explains what we're looking at, what we're looking for with these stratospheric charts. And if anybody's been a little bit unsure, I hope that's explained what we're doing with this, and we will continue to monitor stratospheric developments. At the end of the video, we will go through the GFS ensembles, actually, so more on the strat at the end of the video. Right, let's crack on. Central temperature is currently sitting at 7.4. It's coming down. It's now 3.6 degrees above average. That's provisional to the 16th of January. That will come down more over the coming few days as the cold weather continues. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. We're looking at Northampton today. The red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Northampton, starting colder than average at the moment. We'll see those upper air temperatures lifting up as we go into next week for a while anyway, but then possibly coming down through the final week of January. Precipitation-wise, going to be lots of dry weather with this cold condition over there is snow in places, particularly in the north and west. Not going to be very much here in Northampton, I don't think, but there is some snow for some people further north and west. Next week, also a little bit more unsettled as potential lifts up. There might be some rain involved with that, maybe even a little bit of sleet and snow for a while as the milder air struggles to get in. It does look a lot dry, I have to say. The second half of January is looking a lot drier than the first half of January. Not completely dry, but it is looking like the deluge has come to an end for the time being. As far as snow row is concerned for Northampton, so not a great deal doing for me, honestly. There are a few snow spikes there in the next few days. There might be some wintry showers pushing through, but pretty meagre stuff. And then after that, very little in west, so maybe towards the beginning of February there might be a few spikes, but not a great deal doing for me in Northampton as far as snow is concerned. However, it will be cold. Temperature anomalies from the 17th to 25th January are colder than average, with the UK beginning to recover slightly for Ireland. Precipitation anomalies from the 17th to 25th January drier than normal, especially so in these eastern and southeastern regions. Related wind from out from Earth, NorthSchool.net shows that putting down cold northerly winds today. We drag the map down, you can see that the air is originating from a very long way north, and that is plunging down the western side of Europe right now, bringing those cold temperatures. Right, let's go through the chart data. So UK Met Euro run is looking midnight on Friday under a little bit of a transient ridge. The low pressure is trying to push in from off the Atlantic and displace that cold air, but struggling. We do get milder air into the north and west by Sunday, but south and southeast probably still quite cold as we go through Sunday. Early next week, there's a system moving in from the Atlantic, probably turning things milder even down in the south. But it does look quite anti-cyclonic, this, for England and Wales in particular. So, you know, we might keep the frost going, actually, even into the beginning of next week there. The icon looks like that, again, with transient ridge on Friday, and then high pressure developing over and to the northeast of the country over the weekend. I think that would definitely keep England and Wales quite cold, milder, with southwest winds for Scotland and also for Northern Ireland into the open of next week, looking very anti-cyclone, lots of dry weather for the open of next week. And for England and Wales, I don't think much has happened to stir up the atmosphere, so probably still quite cold there, with some frost milder, definitely for Scotland and also for Northern Ireland. The GFS midnight run, again, showing that well, system struggling to get in on Friday, and then high pressure building towards Scandinavia over the weekend, bringing something of an easterly flow in across the country through the weekend and into part of next week. It's turning milder for Scotland and Ireland, but England and Wales potentially still quite cold and frosty with that ridge of high pressure. Heading up towards day 10, high pressure just establishing across the country. That probably brings frost and fog to many places through the final week of January, and a real high pressure fest actually as we go through the closing days of January into the beginning of February. Just sides of the Atlantic starting to break down. That high pressure begins to bring some wetter and windy weather in from off the Atlantic. Perhaps the GFS 6 Zebra, again, looking like this. So high pressure is building towards Scandinavia once again on Saturday, keeping the cold weather going for southern and eastern areas over the weekend. The milder areas even struggling to get to Scotland and Northern Ireland, actually, over the weekend with the GFS 6 there. Just the far northwest turning milder there. Otherwise, most places still looking pretty cold, even into the beginning of next week, I think. Heading up toward day 10, again, high pressure dominating, bringing in a not especially cold easterly wind, but it will certainly have a chill to it, and it will be enough to keep the cold temperatures going. There will be overnight frosts and that, with this, probably fog under the centre of the high pressure as well. And that high pressure continues to dominate right way to the end of January. Eventually it shows signs of starting to try and inch its way up towards Greenland for low pressure breakthrough for the beginning of February, probably turning us wetter, but also still looking quite cold. Looks like we're about to get another shot of northerly winds there by the 2nd of February. Very interesting GFS 6 Zeb run today. If you enjoyed the video, please you like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for doing that. Why not drop a comment, let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. Thank you so very much, everyone, for doing this for us. Right, the GM, again, shows that low pressure struggling getting from the Atlantic over the weekend, so it turns milder for Scotland and Northern Ireland, but for England and Wales, probably still quite cold, especially towards the east and south east, with that particular ridge of high pressure just there. The high pressure takes over across southern Scandinavia by the early part of next week. Most places looking dry probably quite cold and frosty up to that point, and we keep the high pressure going right way up toward daytime with further frost and fog very likely with that. And then the ECM WF once more shows that low pressure really struggles to get in at the end of the week. High pressure strengthening over to the east of the country, keeping things pretty cold in the south and east. It does turn milder for Scotland and Ireland through the course of the weekend. Probably milder just about everywhere by the early part of next week, but then high pressure comes back through the week, probably returning us to frost and fog. That's how I look at day 10. Is that high pressure trying to get itself up towards Greenland? Possibly a little bit of retrogression, or should I say retrogression there with the GFS, with the ECM midnight run, I should say. All looking very seasonable for the final week of January, with frost and fog, very likely, with gruesome twosome. Wow. Right, this is a precipitation forecast based on the ECM run on meteo.com. Plenty of wintry showers, snow showers, of course, in the north and in the west as well, over the next day or two. Something close to the east coast there as well, Wednesday towards Thursday. Then high pressure building through the country start to turn drier as we get through the weekend. Notice the rain being kept at bay. That's where the milder air is. Rain being kept at bay through Scotland, Northern Ireland, which is England and Wales stays anticyclonic and mainly dry. A few patches of rain coming and going, but a lot of dry weather over the next week to 10 days, to be honest. Once more, we cannot show you the options on the table within the ECM Ensemble day 4, day 10. They have not updated once more at the Icelandic Met Office. As soon as they get back on stream, I will bring them to you. So the last thing we'll look at, actually won't be the last thing we'll look at, we'll go through some ensemble data in a moment, but it would normally be the last thing that we'll look at is the CFS V2. It's a 500 millibar high times break down into week periods. The first week period takes from 17th to 23rd of January. The coming week has low pressure dropping to the south, high pressure reaching to the north, and winds coming in from a cold northerly, northeasterly type direction. Into week 2, this is the 24th, excuse me, to the 30th of January, high pressure beginning to retreat towards eastern Europe, low pressure heading in from off the Atlantic, turning milder and wetter through the last week of January. They're not that anticyclonic, at odds with the shorter range model output we've just been looking at. Week 3 is the 31st of January, 6th of February, low pressure in control, mild, wet, windy, and week 4 is the 7th to the 13th of January, again low pressure to the northwest, high pressure to the south, so unsettled but also mild with winds from a west southwesterly direction. First half of February looking very mild there with the CFS B2. Finally, we'll just go through the GFS ensemble, so back to the stratosphere, back to where we started. Let's just go through these very quickly. So this is the control run. What's that doing with the warming of the stratosphere? So it does bring significant warming of the stratosphere from Siberia into the North Pole, displacement of the PV with that one. Remember, we're looking to see if we can get a split of the polar vortex. Let's have a look at ensemble member number 1. Displacement event, a significant warming of the stratosphere. Ensemble member number 2 looks like that. Big displacement event. I don't think we're splitting the PV with that one, but we are displacing it towards northern parts of America somewhat unusually. There, big warming of the stratosphere with that one. Ensemble member number 3 looks like that. Again, quite a significant warming of the stratosphere, a little bit toned down with that one. Ensemble member number 4 looks like that. Again, very significant warming of the stratosphere, almost splitting the PV with that one. Ensemble member number 5 looks like this. Again, displacement event with that one. Ensemble member number 6 looks like that. That gets very close to splitting the PV just there, just doesn't quite pull it off. Ensemble member number 7 looks like that. Again, displacement event with that one. Ensemble member number 8 looks like this. So again, significant warming of the stratosphere with that one. And, you know, PV soon business road. That's important to mention. PV soon business that one up to the 2nd of February. Ensemble member number, what are we up to? Number 9. That one does pretty much split the PV, I think. So you can see the 2 loads of blue classically going off in opposite directions. So I think we can say that one splits the PV. Ensemble member number 10, what's that one going to do? Very significant warming of the stratosphere with that one, no split. Ensemble member number 11. Looks like that. Again, quite a significant warming with that one. Ensemble member 12. Looks like that. That splits the PV very nicely. Ensemble member number 12. Ensemble member number 13. Looks like that. Again, quite a significant or very significant warming of the stratosphere over Siberia into the pole. Displacement event with that one. Ensemble member number 14. Looks like that. Displacement event with that one. Ensemble member number 15. Looks like that. Massive warming right over top of the pole. Wow, wow, wow. Incredible. Ensemble member number 16. Splits the PV. That one does split the PV. We have ensemble member number 16. Ensemble member number 17. Looks like that. A little bit toned down, maybe that one. Ensemble member number 18. Looks like that. Very dramatic warming. No split of the PV up to the 2nd of February. Ensemble member number 19. Again, very dramatic warming. No split of PV of that one. However, ensemble member number 20. Splits the PV. Ensemble member number 20. Ensemble member number 21. Splits the PV as well. Quite a few splitting the PV now, isn't there? Ensemble member number 23, looks like that. No split of the PV of that one, but we do get not that significant warming, actually. That's a little bit toned down. Ensemble member number 23 splits the PV very nicely. That's the best so far. That really is a classic. Ensemble member number 23. Ensemble member number 24. Doesn't split the PV. Ensemble member number 25 doesn't split PV either. Ensemble member number 26. Very dramatic warming, no split. Ensemble member number 27. Yes, that one is just about splitting the PV as well. I think ensemble member number 28 looks like that. No split with that one. Ensemble member number 29. No split with that one. And finally, ensemble member number 30. Very dramatic warming. No split of the PV. And we're done. If you enjoyed this video, then please can you like, share, subscribe. Thank you so very much, everybody, for doing that. So I hope, I've explained reasonably well what we're doing with the stratospheric charts, what we're looking for, why we're doing this, what it can lead to, what it can't lead to sometimes, but often what it can lead to if you do get a full SSW experience, which is the big warming, the split and the reversal, then you can get a tropospheric response via northern blocking a couple of weeks later, sometimes quicker than that actually. So yeah, we'll just continue to monitor, we'll just continue to wait and see, and all will be revealed. Of course, it is cold in without the SSW, it's cold at the moment, and it looks like the cold weather will continue into the last week of January, albeit a different form with frost and fog and whatnot, and certainly, as we go into the final week of the month, we could well be looking at a little bit of a gruesome twosome. Just say what's coming up tomorrow. We're going to have a 6 AM upload. We'll have the USA forecast, and we're going to be live streaming our 10 to 14 day. I think it'll be an interesting live stream that'll be coming up at 6 PM. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. And for this video, that's all for now. And thanks for watching.